Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grapholistic Podcast, the pod all about handwritings and characters analysis. I am your podcaster, S.Sulianah. In this episode, we are taking an in-depth look at phase 4 in developing your communication skills. This episode, I will teach you how to enhance specifically your writing skills. In the previous episode, we had done the comprehension skills. So today, I'm going to teach you some practical ways that will be helpful to guide you when you find that your writing skills is a bit questionable, or when you realize that it is not up to a certain standard, or you feel like you need to improve it. Before you go ahead to apply for a course on how to write creatively or fluently, the first step is to know what you want out of being skillful in your writing, such as is it to get better grades, to write a convincing presentation, to publish your books, to write scripts, and there could be many other possible reasons. Because there are many courses out there that have different objectives, if you want to write for your books, then it is better to look for courses that is related to authorships and publishing instead of writing movie scripts. If you want to improve on your English or any language writing skills as a beginner, it is better to look for courses that fits the level you are looking for. So the first step is to actually focus on your main objectives. The second step is to focus first on your basics in writing, like grammar, forming sentences, using the correct vocabulary that suits the environment you are in. You can learn bombastic vocabulary, which I used to do, but nowadays I can rely on thesaurus if I want to write to help add more spice to the words in my articles or in my books. As for conversation like this, I will usually use the simplest words depending on my audience. The third step is to keep writing. Write in private before publishing anything if you have no confidence yet to let people read your contents. Start by writing on your diary about your daily feelings and thoughts. Write about your ideas. Write your own blogs. You can private your blogs if you don't have confidence to share it. So when you travel, write about your experiences, the food you eat, how you feel about the landscapes and the people you met. Or when you read books or articles, watch movies, or went to a concert, or listen to a music album, write your opinions about it like a review. Apply what you had learned in those courses you had taken and test whether it is practical. If writing a full paragraph is too heavy for you, start with writing mind maps or in points first. Then gradually from there, build your momentum. The last step is to let people read what you had written. This part usually will develop or will come when the time is right. There will be this moment when you feel comfortable sharing your thoughts and opinions and feelings to strangers. This could be through any forms like blogs, books, articles, website, articles in newspapers, magazine, or even writing to your friends. It doesn't mean that you felt that whatever you had written are perfect. I don't believe in 100% perfection in writing because there will be, at some points on the final article usually, there could still be space for improvements even after final edit and after you publish. I hope you get all the main 4 points that I've shared. So now, what are the possible challenges that you might face while trying to achieve your target to be a published author or well-known quality scriptwriter or even have A+ for your thesis, for your reports? Firstly, remember that all these steps are to be done phase by phase. It takes time. When I say time, it means months and years. So keep writing and keep learning. So when your readers shared with you their perspectives on what you had written, listen. Then if you would like to tell them why you wrote like that, tell them your points respectfully. They are your readers. And usually for me, I will listen to those who reads my contents, but not to people who criticize but don't even care about reading what I had written. So focus on your readers or your followers or your fans, real fans, the one who really read and understand it. Secondly, since your main goal is to be better in your writing skills, You have to be open to learn and gain new knowledge. If you disagree with the instructor's opinions and teachings in class or lectures, process the information first before telling him or her that you disagree or if you did not like what was shared. Be respectful. Also, there is no need to be embarrassed when you want to take any courses. Doesn't matter your age, your status quo, or any excuses that you have in mind. When I was in secondary one, I told my dad to enroll for me a creative English class because I feel like I was really weak with my English writing skills. That class was conducted in one of the community centers near my place. And I remember the instructor was quite detailed with the technicality, which for me was what I needed during that time. I was not embarrassed, I remember. I was not embarrassed to request my dad to help me register for it. And I told him frankly I need to improve. And when I had completed that course, I felt one more level of confidence achieved because I get to learn new techniques which raise my knowledge and skills in writing. The third challenge is applying whatever you had learned into actions because it will be such a waste of money and time if you don't. Frankly, I don't apply everything I had learned because there are a load of information to be applied. So I will selectively apply whenever I needed it. But don't waste money and time if you don't think that that's what you want. The fourth point is to make sure you complete everything and never ever do anything halfway and leave without finishing your tasks. Again, it will be a waste of money and time if you do things halfway or you study halfway. If you fail a test or exam, take one more time. Normally on the third or fourth time, you will pass, provided that you really put in effort. If you are 1/3 working on it and you get tired of it, like really you hated it, not because you feel lazy about it, find out why. Is it because of the course syllabus or the instructor? Is it because somebody told you that it is not worth it? Is it because you have no energy to do it anymore? That is why before you embark on anything or register your application, think first. And on the other type of challenges, especially when you start writing a book, why are you doing it halfway? You have to ask yourself, why can't you finish it? There are possible reasons when you are unable to finish the book you are writing. For instance, there is still not much evidence to support your theory, so you need more time. It could be because you think you have writer's block, or probably you need to be heartbroken first to finish the poetry book. Find out the reasons and attempt to eat immediately. Do not drag. Just for your information, whenever you have writer's block, go grab a book and read. This will make you go back to writing fluently and complete whatever you have delayed within the next few days. About the heartbroken or frustrated situations, sometimes this could be a trigger to make you write. My first poetry book that I published years ago, it was an immediate decision which I managed to compile all the poems I had written over the years and publish it within 2 to 3 days. My second poetry book was when I was a little bit heartbroken and I wanted to shut off the chapter immediately. So I wrote the last few pages in a day and then proceed to publish it after a week. As for my latest book, Be Brave, Uncensored Motivational Quotes, it took me about 8 hours to write all the quotes, plus 2 days to add in details to the backstory of those quotes before I proceed to publish it. This was written when I wanted to vent my last few feelings of frustrations towards a group of individuals. So because I wanted to change to a new chapter in my life, I had to let go of the past. And my style is that way. Make full use of your current situations to complete your writing tasks and goals. Okay, before I end this episode, I have a story to share with you. My personal journey when I was trying to improve my writing skills. This happened a few years ago. Over the years, my writing skills had ups and downs moments. It was not like I became so good in a year after doing all those steps I just shared with you earlier. But there is one significant moment that happened about 14 years ago, which made a lot of difference to this journey. And I can say after that, it goes up gradually in a positive way. 14 years ago, when I was taking my part-time bachelor degree, I encountered with problems of not having good results for my psychology thesis. Just so you know, I was a business management student and psychology was very foreign to me at the time. The requirements for their reports are totally different from when I was doing my diploma in business 5 years before that. My thesis grades were like C, B-. It was actually stressing me out in a way that my psychology module grades were not as good as when I was taking my diploma. There was this classmate of mine who I admired, who is now one of my closest friends. She's so good in her conversational and writing skills. I was exposed to her every day, which made me want to make sure I can speak well like her. She speaks very fluently in her conversation, that sometimes she can be very witty and will always make me laugh. I don't laugh easily usually. And not only the way she speaks, apparently she's also good in writing. I mean, her background study was in law, and she possibly speaks English with her family. Anyway, remember when I mentioned in earlier episode about having a model that you have to imagine you would like to be, like as your target, before you start improving on certain skills? Okay, so this friend of mine was my model target. I said to myself literally and in my prayers daily that I want to speak and write as fluent as her. Yes, guys, if you pray at home, whatever your beliefs are, please do it in a way that when you pray, say in detail. I have said this many times in my podcast too. Prayers is actually saying it out loud to yourself what you want and need. Your problems, your thoughts, your aim. Some may call this as the manifestation technique. For this case, I literally mentioned my friend's name and the aspects that I want to improve for myself and which part of her skills that I would like to improve myself on. So in terms of the communication aspect of her, I admired how she's so fluent when she speaks. She could express herself well and also very cool when she said something witty. I was, on the other hand, during that time, more to like, was confident, but I feel like constricted to speak out what I feel or think. I felt that was because I was thinking about how my English language was not that good in terms of forming sentences and not using the correct grammar. Oh, before I forget, during this period, my reading habit was also a bit slacking. I was too much focused on my daily work in office and other responsibilities that I did not even spend time to read. Just so you know, this could be one of the reasons. One day, I accidentally read one of her psychology thesis reports. I have no idea why all my classmates' thesis reports were right in front of me during that time. And then, at that moment, by reflex, I had a glance on how she wrote and formed her sentences on her thesis, while another friend of mine who was beside me checked who has the highest score in class. What I did was actually just a glance. I am not kidding. I was not even reading a whole paragraph. And I didn't even try to read the whole thesis and understand what she wrote. This was what I found out. Usually, I will write a sentence like this: the weather is hot. For her, she made her sentence like this: the weather is scorching hot. That was what I caught from the seconds of glance on her psychology thesis. Then what I did next was, for my next psychology assignment, I tried to write exactly that way. Guess what? My grade was usually B- and C, right? And then all my thesis and overall grades turned out to A+, A- after that. Funny, right? I was very surprised with the results. It was very crazy. I was like, wow, just like that? So I used that formula for my marketing thesis too during that time, and it also works all very good. I was very impressed on how it turns out. Another most important moment in that timeline was what happened after that. Since then, my confidence to write kept building up, and I didn't stop writing. It is not only about writing, but also the confidence to write the contents and let people read it. Because of that confidence, I can see the difference. It's very obvious. This was like a big change that made a lot of difference in my interest to express myself and my feelings into words. Since then, I have been writing articles related to handwriting analysis, motivation, poetry, and even have the courage to publish those ideas and those words in my websites and also as physical books for people to read. I have been writing poems in my second language since I was in secondary school, but never had the courage to publish any of it. However, since that moment that I experienced 14 years ago, like I said, the confidence just kept building up. This is exactly the same when I was planning to produce and write the contents for this podcast and another podcast of mine. I know that there are so much for me to add or improve in the script, in the production. But I also know if I don't start to speak and broadcast what I had written for my podcast, I will never do it, ever. So I managed to get rid of all those excuses that I created for myself when I wanted to publish my podcast. Excuses like, I don't like my voice, or I will be sharing my deepest secrets that I have kept, and what if my friends or family listens to it? Or excuses like, oh, my room is not suitable for podcast recording because of the echo, blah, blah, blah. So what I did is to fight off those excuses and worries I had in my mind and keep going and go ahead with it anyway. Remember that it is not about perfection in the writing. For sure, there will still be mistakes and errors in the use of grammar and how you express yourself. Nothing will be perfect until you start on practicing what you have in mind into writing. So listen, the most important thing is you work on your goals, then gradually make improvements along the way. Also, meanwhile, please don't stress yourself. Do all these steps at your own pace and whenever needed. Do not compare with others. You can use them as a model goal, but never ever underestimate your potential. I would like to wish you all the best in developing your writing skills. A simple quote for you before I end this episode. Write, read, edit, rewrite, and remember to publish it. See you next week. Bye-bye.